thank you so much for making time to see me, Vegas. Do you want to see the damage?
I'd love to see what we're working with.
Okay. So, I didn't get to tell you all the details, but basically, on the first date with this cute girl that I met on Tinder, we decided, hey, let's just stick and poke each other.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
and
she did that?
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
I mean, but now we have this matching tattoo and like it's not going so well.
Oh.
So, any suggestions on what I could cover this up with?
Well, that's a very interesting story. It would really depend on how big you wanted it to be. It's in there.
Yeah, and does it make a difference that it's stick and poke too?
No. It's absolutely no difference. It's well done. We could cover it up with a broken heart.
Oh.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Because it would represent your broken heart, I'm assuming?
She just stopped texting and I was like, okay, whatever, you clearly aren't interested. So
yeah.
I don't want to have this now on me for her to be able to say like, yeah, we have this matching tattoo, you know? Like, I just want to make something completely new, completely fresh, and probably never do stick and poke date again in the future.
I actually have kind of a similar story.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What kind of tattoos? Oh my goodness.
Okay, so I was on Tinder very many years ago, and I matched with this person. We went on this date, and it was honestly god awful. They were the most mundane, the most boring person, and then just emotionally activated the whole time. Yeah, throughout the whole date, they would just shut down for no reason, and the whole time I was just kind of like, okay. So we were at Jack Astor's, as one does, downtown. You know, the one by Eden Center.
Yes.
Yeah. And we were like, okay, let's go back to my ends in the east and hang out and go to a dive bar. And while we were on our way to College Station, they shut down again. And we were sitting, you know where the grocery store is? The bench is just there when you go under. We were just sitting there in silence for 20 minutes until I just kind of looked at them and I was like, should we leave? Should we not be around each other right now? And they're like, we could still hang out. And I don't know what was going on with me at that time, but I was like, okay. So we go back. So we go to the dive bar on the Danforth. We're talking and I'm like, do you want to tattoo me? And they were like, yeah, of course. So I took them back to my apartment because I was tattooing out of my place at that time, and I had them tattoo me. And the fucked up part about this is that I had them tattoo me how I felt the whole date. And so I had them tattoo this face that's just mundane face, just to represent the fact that I'm a dumb bitch and I probably should have left. And then we had a very tumultuous 2-week relationship, but yeah, I think I'm gonna keep this though.
Yeah, it's cute.
So you're not alone.
It's a good story.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a fun little thing
anecdote,
to keep, right?
Yeah.
At least I didn't do her name because I really thought about just doing her name and just making it a thing. We were just so in the moment, you know, those 2-day long lesbian dates that just feel you're so in the moment, you're vibing, you're just planning your marriage out, talking about kids, all those things. Because you're just around each other so long.
Enthralled in the sheets and a lot of sex. Yeah,
yes.
All of it.
It's all a confusing time. So I was really ready to just risk it all and tattoo her name on me. But I settled for peace instead. I chose peace.
Yeah.
Have you ever gotten any names on you? Or considered?
Folks make a joke about me that I am literally a walking guest book. I have basically tattooed probably the most prevalent relationships on my body.
How
Their
long
names.
relationship-wise?
I mean, people I didn't really even love.
Oh.
Just because they had done it first.
Okay.
And I had done it. Yeah, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like either matching tattoos or names on me. One of which was I won't say their name out loud, but huge name across my thigh, and that was probably the 3rd tattoo I ever did.
Oh, so you tattooed on yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, their name, because they had tattooed my name on their arm. And I was like, well, I'm becoming a tattoo artist, so I'll just cover it whenever. I have yet to cover it. It's been 10 years. Not for any significance other than I just don't like getting tattooed and it hurts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I definitely have a lot of names and matching tattoos on me.
Wow. I'm surprised. Because for you, is it deep? For you, okay, so like I guess for me, I'm just like I won't even tattoo my child's name because I'm like,
will I like you in the future? I don't know.
Because I'm just like, his name is Romeo, and I'm like, a lot of people have Romeo just tattooed on them.
Oh no, you're gonna find yourself a stud at like these parties, and they're like, you have my name tattooed.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, yeah. I don't want any of that. But maybe I'll put I put his birth number.
That's cute. You also have like I feel like your tattoos are very curated and well done.
Thank you. So, I don't feel like they're curated at all.
Really?
I feel like they're so like random, but I appreciate you.
No, they're well, I mean, I did some of them.
You did a lot of them. They are very well done.
But I think the way that you have them, like, you're in a good spot.
Okay.
So don't follow my lead and get a bunch of X's. I only do them because I feel like I'm a tattoo artist. I can get them covered whenever I want.
True. Okay, yeah.
And so they're just there, and they don't really mean anything to me. But there are a lot of people that I was either fucking, dating, or seeing who were marked by me permanently. Not only my name, but like pieces that I've done on them. So I'm like,
I love that for them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a lot of them are still in love with me, but that's neither here nor there.
If it's still there, then clearly.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, what is your ideal date?
My ideal date is drinks to help with the nerves. I honestly, a lot of times end up at like Church Street at like, I don't know, at like one of the bars there. Just like dinner and drinks and maybe a hang after. I don't know. I like things that are very low key. And then like somebody who could carry a conversation. Like, yeah, like my first date, I want to do something where we're interacting with each other. And I get to get more of a vibe of like who they are rather than like going somewhere where we can't really hear each other, can't really talk. Like a movie or like a show just doesn't feel right for me. But yeah, that's like my ideal date situation. It doesn't always have to be drinks though. I will be drinking, but the other person could be doing whatever they want to do. Yeah.
True. I always think about like my first dates when I like came into my queerness, because I feel like when I was dating men before, I didn't really go on dates.
Yeah.
It was more like, let's link up. Let's hang out in the car.
Oh my God.
And then they pull down the seat, you know.
Men are it's so funny as soon as you mentioned men, I like remember literally just being in the car with a guy and then maybe going out to get something to eat and not knowing like if I'm gonna be paying or not.
Oh my, the anxiety.
Yeah, because with men it's just so like, I don't know, like flippant with them. And if I pull out my wallet, they're like, no, I got you. I'm like, I don't know if you have money like that. Like, I have no way. We're hanging out in your car, your Chrysler 3000 or whatever the case is. So, yeah, dating men was mostly just hanging out in their cars or in their rooms.
Yeah, that just also unlocked a memory for me. I remember being like 18. And I went for dinner with this guy. We went to Mandarin. I had like...
Mandarin?
Mandarin, yeah.
I remember Mandarin.
In Brampton. We went to Mandarin and had like one plate. And then he's like, I don't know, I'm just anxious. We should go. And I was like, what? Like, why are you anxious? And he's like, I don't know, let's just get the bill and go. And I'm like, what do you mean get the bill? Like, you're paying, right? And he's like, no, I don't have money. And I was like, are you kidding me?
Wait, what? Was he anxious because he was broke?
I don't know if he was anxious because he was broke, but I was just like, you invited me here. And now you're telling me, like, oh, I can't pay. I'm like, what? Like, don't you work? You know, like, I'm not made of money.
A drug dealer or something?
Right? Like, you don't have anything? Like, seriously? He's like, no, I have like $40,000 in debt. I was like, oh, fine.
So I was actually hoping that you were going to help me out.
Yeah. So I'm like, also,
but if you were going to pay for it already, why couldn't you stay?
Right? Like, why wouldn't you say that from the beginning?
Yeah.
Like, and then I was just mad because I'm like, okay, I'll pay whatever. I have like my little like credit card, but I was mad because I'm like, I only had one plate. It's Mandarin.
Right.
It's all you can eat buffet. Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
You better sit down, sir, and let me eat these like next 5 plates if I'm paying. But he was like, no, I'm so anxious, and he was the one who drove. So I'm just like,
was he a weed smoker?
no.
So what did you guys do after?
Literally went home and I went back to his place and we just like smoked shisha.
Oh my god.
He was like this like older like Lebanese dude.
I was gonna say you said shisha and I was like, wait a second.
yeah, that was what we did. And sex.
So you ended up hooking up.
Yeah.
That's why he was anxious. He's like, I'm excited to get my dick sucked. That's what I'm trying to do. Dating men had to be honestly, I'm not somebody that believes that like only people are born gay. Like I feel like everybody's born sexually fluid. That's like how we're socialized is like might impact what our sexuality might be or whatever the case, you know, all the other stuff. I won't get political on this show. But dating men, if it was a choice, I chose not to date men any longer.
It's so ghetto. I don't know. I don't know how else to describe it beyond ghetto. Like, it just feels so out of place for my life.
I was in love with this boy.
Tell me.
No. I was oh, wait. He informed my first tattoo, actually.
Huh?
Mm-hmm. I was in love with this boy. I met him when I was like 13. Grew up in Scarborough, like Malvern, and he used to like steal cars and like steal little like pocket bikes, like the motor ones. Yeah, and like let the neighborhood kids like ride them around, and I thought that was like so cool. He was so sweet, and I was infatuated with him, but he was the hood, and he lived in his mom's basement. The basement was not finished. It was not finished.
So it was just cold?
It was
with
just
a bed?
Pure cement with the washer and the dryer, and sometimes the washer would flood. And just,
with the pink thing on the wall?
Yeah. Get out of my memory. Yes.
Screaming. Not the
Literally.
unfinished.
It was the unfinished, and like for the door was a stapled bed sheet. Yeah, I was in love with him for years. And he had been like... I don't know how old I was. I must have been like, around like 13, 14. He was like, he was getting tatted at that point. I was like, oh my God, you're so cool. And he was like, you should get a rose on your neck. You know, you like touched me on the neck. And I was like, oh. And so honestly, like we weren't even together, but like my first tattoo was a rose on my neck.
Wow.
To like represent him, I guess, and that relationship and how much it meant to me.
That's so cute.
Because back then tattoos had to mean something for me.
Uh-huh.
It's now covered, but yeah.
Okay. You know, he probably has a podcast now.
Him? He's probably in jail. Oh. He's got baby mothers and children and records. I think the last time I heard from him, he called me the F slur in the DMs. So.
Woo!
They can't handle it.
They can't.
No.
They feel personally attacked.
Yeah. I'm like, it wasn't obvious. I hated having sex every time. Well, I guess they wouldn't know because they don't know what it feels like for a woman to have an orgasm. So they couldn't tell the difference, I suppose.
For me, it was like, I dated men for so long because like the people, like the dudes I was dating were people that I kind of wanted to be like, you know, like where it's like, I don't want you, I want to be you.
Gender.
Gender, euphoria. Look at me now.
how have you had any of your ex male partners or otherwise, since, I don't want to say coming out, but like since existing now in your truth of being non-binary, has anybody like reached out and been like, or even when you came out and was just like, I'm a les,
Yeah.
did anybody reach out and was like, is it because of me?
Oh my God. Only my son's dad was like, did I have anything to... And I'm like, no. Literally, it just like, because I felt like he wanted to have that claim, you know, to be like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? To be like, yeah, it was me, you know, like that's why they're gay now. But
I'm the last man.
yeah, no.
Yeah.
No. But I just blocked a lot of them because I'm like, I don't want you to see me. I don't want you to see my life. And I feel like I look really different from those times to now.
Yeah, I've seen your picture.
So, yeah. And we've known each other for a while, too.
I did know you around those times.
Yeah. Back in my, like, Instagram days of being pansex princess.
Yes.
I've since changed over the account to be my drag king name.
Yeah.
But yeah, pansex princess days where I was just like, cutie, try hard.
I love with the bangs.
With the bangs.
Yeah.
What else? I don't know. I was just like really into like being a hipster at the time too. That was a big thing. But yeah, that was when I was just coming to my queerness and I was like, I'm pansexual. But yeah, I blocked all the dudes I ever dated. Anyone that I ever thought of, I just went through my phone one day, blocked them. Like, did the Instagram contact thing where you find your friends that way.
Oh, geez.
Just found them and I was like, block.
I'm scared to do. I don't want to intersect them.
No.
I don't want that. Yeah.
Yeah. But how long have you been tattooing? Because I think for as long as I've known you, I've always known you as Vegas Ink.
Yeah. I've been tattooing like 11 years now. I started young. I can't believe how integrated tattooing and dating is for me. Okay, yeah. The person who bought my first machine, I was dating them.
Wow.
Yeah. I started when I was around 17, 18. I had just like found stable housing at that point and was like tapping back into my artistic shit and was getting tattooed and my ex, so I was dating somebody and then I had an ex. My ex that was my best friend who I was in love with, who stayed in my life. We know those ones.
Oh yes.
There's always that person in your life. They were like, you should start tattooing, and they like showed a tattoo artist my work, and they were like, yeah, like you do certain types of art really well, which is hard to capture as an artist. So I just started. The girl I was seeing at the time, who was a big whore, and a fuckboy, and a stud.
All the red flags. Damn.
She bought me my first machine at Studio One, and I just started from there. I just started tattooing from home and tattooing people off the rip, which I don't recommend. Don't do that. But she swears she is my claim to fame.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's annoying.
Yeah. She's like, I got you started and I got your first tattoo. I'm so proud of you. I'm like, bitch. She's also the same one to like message me once in a while and be like, nobody can ever make you feel like how I did. Remember the sex we had? And I'm like,
oh my gosh.
I was like 18, okay? I've had a lot of experiences since then.
Yeah. Many years have passed.
A big regret. But I mean, also an experience. I guess I would never have or would not have thought to do that at the time had it not been for them, my exes.
So were you drawing lots before? How did you go from getting the tattoo machine things to I'm like, tattoo, what's this
Don't
thing?
call it a gun. Yeah, a tattoo machine.
Tattoo machine.
Yeah.
Like before that, were you drawing lots? And like, how did that come to be?
Yeah, I had always been an artist. I drew a lot as a kid, and then there was a point in my life where things were just very precarious and tumultuous. So I stopped, and that's why, like, once I found stable housing, I had much more free time because I wasn't running road so much. And, so I got into it. I don't think that I realized how much drawing was a main factor for tattooing. I was in the hood, so I was fucking tracing a lot of things. I wasn't really recreating anything. So like even as I started tattooing, I wasn't even tattooing like my art like in the way that I have been in the last, I think it's the last 9 or 8 years. But yeah, I was drawing, but I was not like, it was legit. I don't know, like the people, like what they saw was like a drawing of like Huey from Boondocks, and they're like, oh my God, you should be a tattoo artist. And I'm like,
I was gonna say, what are you drawing? Yeah, but
it's stuff like that. It was a lot of hands. I like to incorporate hands a lot in my art. And just like sort of like illustrative elements like that. When I was younger, I drew a lot of anime. I read a lot of manga. I was obsessed. I would like watch music videos or things on TV and then draw them like as they're happening. It's just a lot of that kind of stuff.
So has your style changed over time?
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in like the industry, I'm considered like a street style artist, which means that I have a diverse portfolio. I could do most things that walk into the door because a lot of the shops I worked at, I had to do that and have a versatility. Like I said, I was like tattooing in fucking Scarborough, so it was a lot of prayer hands and script and Bible quotes, and which really helped strengthen my foundation. But it's definitely shifted now. I'm able to implement the diversity of different art styles, tattooing styles, but I lean into a lot of the things I like to do. Things that I'm enjoying right now are like line work, illustrative, sort of Victorian style botanicals, which I find to be very cathartic and soothing to just like look at nature and flora and just replicate it and stylize it in ways that like feel like that honor my style. And then I just also like to do like illustrative traditional stuff, full color work. And like, as you know, I work on like melanated skin, black and brown people. So yeah, I guess also with the responsibility of being an artist that is queer, that is like mixed black, I get a lot of black and brown folks who get tattooed by me, so I have to say diversified.
Yeah. That's definitely like, because I've seen your work for years, but it extra like draws me towards getting tattoos by you because you are black, you are also non-binary, and you work and do color on people who are melanated. Yeah. So like the one tattoo that I've got here, like the colors are just
popping.
And I never would have like imagined that I could get colors like this until you were just like, yeah, it's like,
I know.
Like you made it seem so chill. I'm just like, but the internet makes it seem so hard.
I get so many clients who like, it's like I'm very sympathetic to their plights and their experiences. It's not that I'm jaded. It's just been so like, it's so normalized for me where like I get emails that are like, I'm dark skinned, and they go into this long song and dance about how they don't think, they're like, I really want to get color, but if it won't work, and like this whole thing, and literally I'm just like, no, we can do it. And they're like, you sure? I'm like, yeah, we could do it.
Like, does it come from, like, I know from going to tattoo studios that they just straight up tell you like, no, like you can't do color. But is it, like, why do they make it seem so difficult? Is it because they never tried, or is it because like they make it seem like it's a very like technical thing that's so difficult?
Yeah, it's like anti-black racism, like straight up.
Okay, I was like, why the math isn't mathing? I feel like it's not that hard.
It's straight up racism. And like, yes, like with anything in this field, with anything that we do, it's a skill and a learned skill that we have to adapt to. Like, there are so many things that make a tattoo difficult to do. Like, skin color for me isn't even like on the list, right? There are so many factors. It could be if somebody, some folks who are addicts, or some folks who take certain types of medication, or people with eczema, or whatever the case is, people who have loose skin, older people. Like, there's so many factors as to like the skin being different to work on. Skin complexion isn't really one of them, and I think there is like a technical skill and application that gets done for more melanated skin, but it's color theory. It's all color theory. It's also a little bit of trial and error. So like two black people can walk in with the same undertones, the same skin complexion, the same ways in which they take care of their skin, and then something doesn't work.
Okay.
You just try it again. Like touch-ups happen all the time. Like it is what it is. But yeah, I haven't really had that much of an issue. I think some people would say that they're scared to try it, but I think it's just that they've never really had to be that accountable to try it. You know, it's like, what's the issue? So I can't answer that question really, other than just saying they're anti-black.
Well, I'm happy you exist and you're doing the work. And on social media, you seem to do a lot of educating people on this stuff. Like, how do you feel about like the people on the internet?
I don't know, when they're not calling me the N-word and telling me I should die.
Oh my God.
Getting doxxed.
How do you even manage?
There are, you know, dark-skinned people who experience far worse than what I'm experiencing. Equally, there's far less dark-skinned black artists, monoracial artists represented in the industry. So I'm just like, yeah, like this, it has to be done. I don't even know if I educate people anymore. I just speak. I speak my opinions, and then I amplify the voices of like other folks or folks who have already said it, you know, or are saying it. Clients' experiences, things like that, because I have never experienced like any sort of colorism when getting tattooed. That's never been covered in like color tattoos. Only one person fucked me up, which was weird, but and was like, I don't know if this is gonna work on you, and I'm like, ma'am, this is weird. You can't just get somebody to pull out a paper bag and be like, yeah, she scarred me up, but but that's absolutely nothing. I feel like there's a lot of folks in the industry now that are like doing the work and trying to unlearn, unpack, dismantle these like really harmful narratives, and just as black folks trying to insert ourselves in a culture and a practice that began with black and indigenous people and reclaim that. And I'm not the only artist that does that. I'm not the only artist that works with melanated skin. It's unfortunate that even the artists that work at my shop now, I hadn't even heard about. They just don't get highlighted the way that white people do, and non-black people do, especially.
Wow. I'm still like really curious about like, as a tattoo artist and as a creative, do you find it difficult to date? Because now people also really know you too. Like,
sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. It's weird. I don't have a big platform. Like I don't have a lot of followers, but Toronto's so big and so small at the same time. I remember you had hosted a wine tour, and I went by myself. Also, I felt like kind of a loser because, like, I don't know, like I went, and then I was like talking to people, and like a lot of them are like, "Oh yeah, I follow you. Oh, I know you," but they didn't like say that off the rip. We were just chatting, and then like, "Yeah, I know," and I'm like,
my gosh.
"Oh my god."
People do that in Toronto. Like, they'll be fully talking to you, having conversation, then suddenly be like, yeah, I know you. I know everything about you already. It's like, oh, thanks.
Yeah, it's intimidating. And I think it's when honestly, what I started to do on Tinder, I'm partnered now, we're poly though. But when I was on Tinder, I would actually, if they had their Instagram connected, I would check to see if they were following my business account to see whether or not I wanted to like even engage.
Yeah.
I think I feel like this is kind of intimate. I think that I feel such an intense, I feel like I have to show up the way that folks expect me to show up all the time, and be who they believe I am online. And like not everything that's online is like the truth, obviously. That's like such a cliche to say. Like even clients are like, will see my story and they're like, oh my God, you're so funny. I can't wait till our appointment. And I'm like,
You think you're gonna get tattoo ad jokes? Like,
yeah.
2 for 1?
I'm like, you don't know what kind of day I'm going to be having.
Exactly.
Like, you know?
Yeah.
So like, especially with like dating, I think that there's like a little bit of like a fear that I'm going to share intimate parts of myself or be vulnerable and be myself. And then if things don't work out, what are folks going to say about me, right? Like we are at our best in relationships and we are also at our worst in relationships. And I'm always worried about how that's going to be reflected back onto my business. And like the way that Toronto is like everybody's stories out there with little to no context. Like I'm not out here like an abuser, but I struggle with so much. I'm neurodivergent. I have trauma. And so it's like, I share that with my partner because you have to. And I'm just worried that like, I don't know what people are going to do with that information. So yeah, it is a little bit hard. But then there's like the other side of that same coin that is like, oh, they know me. So they know my values. They know who I am. They know I'm outspoken. Like they get a sense of that. So like if you're going to like buy into this, then like you kind of know what you're already getting yourself into. But yeah, I guess it's hard and it's not. And I also try not to take myself so seriously and understand that nobody gives a fuck about you really. You know, you can have followers and people that are like fans. I get told that it's weird. But like it's people just like to see themselves represented and like to see representation that like what they want to be. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense.
Yeah,
people definitely. Yeah, I totally agree with you on like people don't care. People, it's not that deep. No. It's not as deep as like we almost make it seem.
Right.
You know, like I find I get so like wrapped up in that, like, oh my God, I'm being perceived. People are perceived.
You?
Yeah.
Hold on. No. Let me stop you right there. Your TikToks?
But is that like me daily?
No, it's not.
Right.
That's the thing,
so I'm just like, perceive me as daddy. Go ahead. Perceive me as daddy.
Oh,
but
God,
like,
yeah.
Also I'm like an onion, you know?
Oh my God. So I mean, I could throw the question back at you, being a promoter, being a party planner on like one of the biggest queer parties in Toronto. Do you find it difficult to date? Like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really hard to date because I'm making a party for the same people I would date. So it's just like conflict of interest. Do you attend strap parties? I'll be on Tinder. Someone will match with me and be like, oh my gosh, I love your parties. I really wanted to reach out and message you so I could like, you know, just like talk to you about your parties and see.
Talk to you about what? Talk about the parties to do what?
Right?
They want a free ticket or not?
Business, like kind of. I'm like, that's really sweet, but you can email me for that kind of stuff. Like, what is this? Like, match
not
like,
info at
right? Don't break my heart. I'm here matching with this baddie, all just for it to just slide into my DMs on some business shit. No, I get a lot of mixed things. So it's like people who are fans and they just like have bought into whatever they've perceived me to be. So then we go on dates and it's just based on perception. They think I'm going to be on at all points in time. And then there's also just those people who are just, I don't know, they just want proximity to me. I've had so many people that like went on one singular date with, can't even remember their middle name, you know? And all of a sudden I'm hearing from next people like, oh yeah, me and Marisa dated. And I'm like, what? Which part?
Like
when?
Verb, like currently happening.
Currently dated. What?
Let me ask you something. Because like for tattoo artists, there is a morality thing or an ethical thing where, or a thing that like some would say that there's a power dynamic with what we do. And I think that inherently when working with a body so intimately, there is.
Yeah.
And that's why we have to create a safe environment for our clients, and they share so much of themselves, including their body, and sometimes are nude. So there are boundaries that we can't break. I think that some artists just take it a little too far in like what that's social, almost like a social hierarchy. And I'm like, we're blue collar, like this is weird. All that to say, do you feel the same, like in dating in your world, in the party scene? Is there a hierarchy? Are there boundaries that you feel like you have to place?
There's definitely boundaries that I have to place because, again, it's the power dynamics. I'm creating this party. You attend this party. I don't want there to be like, we date, doesn't work out, then suddenly you and your 10 friends never come to my business again.
Yeah.
You know, like, so I
always on business.
Right?
Yeah.
My mind is so like business focused, especially when I'm in this like party space. Like no matter how lit I am, I'm just very much like, hey, like end of the day, I'm making my event to create space for people and to also pay my staff. So I can't be like mixing and mingling. Like, yes, like originally when I started the party, because it was new to me, I was very flirty. But then like I noticed how, yeah, a whole whore. I at one point like remembered like just getting into the poly world, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna invite my partner, invite their partner, and then also the 2 things I'm talking to on Tinder come through. It's on me. Then it just creates all this mix-up and drama because it's like, why am I making out with the one partner in the corner here? My ting from Tinder is seeing. Now I'll never attend the party. It's like, wow. You know, it's just like...
Is this recent or old?
No, this was like first party. Big mistake. But
yeah,
I've learned and I've grown, but it just takes away from what I'm trying to do. So I just... completely like now I have those hard boundaries where I'm like I'm working, flirt, be cute and whatever. DMs, I might flirt back, but not in a way that's gonna affect my party. Like if someone's, I guess to me flirting is like hard eyeing a picture, like that's
flirting.
Extent. I don't know, people act like that's flirting. No, I'm hard eyeing back.
I don't even know when someone likes me. What? I swear to God. No, I'm really bad at that.
I have that too because I'm like hard eyeing my friend's stuff.
Right.
But then sometimes I'm like, hey, wink, wink. No? Okay. We're friends.
But I don't actually understand it because like even like, like I'll post a picture online and like a whole flock of gal will be like, stomp on my throat, daddy. You're God. You own Instagram. And I'm like, the fuck? Are you trying to fuck? I don't get it. And they're like, just friends. I'm like,
oh my God.
That's what I'm saying. So no, I don't know what flirting is. I play it cool, aloof, and mysterious.
Queer people do that. I used to be like that too. I used to just like extra hype up my friends. Like, eat me. Like... you in my mouth, like just be gross.
I don't. I think the most intense is probably a few flame emojis and a wow heart eyes.
Oh, a wow heart eyes.
Yes, a black heart.
Oh, okay, that was like
aesthetic.
special. Yeah. No, I've definitely done the like. When I would get like sexy messages from people, I'd be like, wow. Hard eyes, and then I realized you're not saying anything.
No, when people I guess are I have to like talk to my partner sometimes and be like, I don't know, I got this message, and they're like, oh, what is it? And they're like, oh my God, I'm in love with you, like I'd love to take you out, you're everything I'd ever want. I'm like, are they flirting with me?
Oh my God.
And my partner's like, yes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, thanks.
And you just say thanks.
What else am I supposed to say?
Yes or no.
Why? This is non-consensual. I didn't consent to have to deal with this social interaction now. Mm-hmm. I'm neurodivergent. I can't handle all of that.
It is a lot, and it's a lot of pressure. Mm-hmm. I find I used to get DMs like that, like in the beginning of the pandemic when people were extra, horny, and like
yeah,
and everyone's just like brave and bold because they're just sitting at home on their phone and just sliding into DMs. Right. I felt so much pressure at that point when people were just like, hey, after all this, remember when we kept saying that? After all this?
Are we in the after? We're not in the after. It's not happening yet.
But yeah, can I take you out? And it's just like, I don't want to be mean and be like, no, I'm not interested, because then I'm just like, but my business. And then also be like, yes, and not want to actually go on this. Like,
how do you think you can? Like, I mean, that feels a little unfair.
It's hard. It's really tricky. But I've learned now that, like, just stating your boundaries is, like, the best way to go about it. Like, hey, I currently am not dating. That's what someone taught me. I'm not dating. I'm not dating right now.
Really? That's a good one.
Right? Because it's not personal. It's nothing to do with you. I'm just not dating.
I don't know.
But they could hit you with are you dating now?
I don't know. I feel like I don't actually understand dating whatsoever. I've dated a client once, but like this particular person I stated so many boundaries with, and they just broke every single one of them always.
I thought you were going to tell me the reverse.
No, they just broke I don't think people know how to be in relationships and like listen, like especially when you're like emotionally mature, I guess, and aware. And I like clearly state my boundaries and say that I'm not interested in continuing a romantic relationship with you, but I'm okay with being friends as long as we don't go past this. And they're like, oh my God, fuck me right now. It's like, wait, whoa. I just told you I don't want to do that. But it's like something about the fact that you can articulate your needs is just like, it's on for people. That's been my experience. I don't know. I've
had this too. And it's just like, it gets to a point where it's just awkward. And I'm like, not one to ghost people, but when they continuously disrespect your boundaries with that, like I've tried so many times to convert like a sexual relationship to then just being like friends, because I'm like, this isn't,
a sexual, it started off as a sexual relationship?
Yeah, it started off sexual, and I'm like, it is hard to transition, but it's just like,
no, you just don't have sex with them.
But then it's like when the temptation is there,
you don't, that's a you problem.
And it's just like, I'm getting messages like, oh my gosh, I should be eating you out right now. What are you saying after this? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, can we just like be friends? But then it doesn't work out. And
okay, that's a you. That's not you.
It's me. It's hard
when I'm done,
you realize
I'm done.
It's you.
Yeah. Not the accountability.
I know, no.
I just like, I walk away from anybody really easily. It's cold to say. That sounds harsh.
But no, it's good.
Scorpio. I'm a heart Scorpio. When I'm done, I'm like done. And if I don't want to do something, I won't do it. Like people can ask and I will say no. I don't know. I think that sex is really easy for me to detach from as well.
I feel
very
so
easily
attached.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Why?
I don't know. It's like you're sharing your body with this person. Okay. It feels so like...
You could share your body with anybody. I share my body with my doctor. Doesn't mean I'm in love with him.
You're not?
Sometimes. He's got money. I don't know. I think about it once.
I don't know. I just get... Maybe it's my Pisces rising. I just get so imaginative in my head. I'm Pisces. Like, what about when we like, we can get a house together? Like, I start planning all these things out. Like, I also can't just have casual sex.
I love casual sex.
Like,
what? What do you mean you can't have casual sex?
One time.
In casual sex? Formal sex?
Is always formal.
What's formal sex?
We're dating.
Oh, God.
We're going to be together. This is us growing together. I don't know. I just get so, like, I get so attached. I've done a one-night stand once. And it was like great, and then I cried. I was like, "What? This is it?" Yeah.
I thought you were at Zaddy.
I am, but Zaddy wants to have baby all the time. Like can't just be
You're
like,
not daddy
and run. I'm just
your father. That's what you are.
Father, daddy.
Wow, you can. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, it just doesn't work out for me. I'm like, we have to at least like be even something like just a friends with benefits kind of thing, but even that never works for me either. I'm just like, this is a relationship. I'm starting to realize maybe it's me.
A little bit. No, I don't know. I feel like I definitely, I get to, like, I'm not a fuckboy in that I don't care about the people, like, I don't care about the people that I'm sleeping with. I do care. And I do like to build relationships within a particular parameter with the people that I'm sleeping with. Like, I want them to feel cared for. I want them to feel safe. Everything's consensual. I want them to know what my expectations are. Like, I've definitely done one night stands, although they always come back. But yeah, I could detach myself from sex so easily because it's sex. It's not like the most insane part. It's the intimacy, I think, that is like hard for me to detach from. So like I could like fuck for like 8 hours one night and just have the most intense sex of my life and just
8
never talk.
hours.
Yeah.
Wow. Wild. I just
Nobody's done that. Oops. Okay. Sorry.
Oh,
I'm gonna get a bunch of DMs after this. Okay.
Oh, 8 hours.
They're like, what you doing?
Let me get a ride.
I mean, if you've seen my fucking videos, I got a whip hanging on my fucking wall. So
Casual.
super cash. Yeah, I could like have sex for a long period of time and then never talk to that person again. But like in 8 hours talking to somebody intimately, oh my God, like that's like, now I'm in love. Now I want to know you.
Yeah.
Let's hang out. Like that's hard for me to detach myself from intimacy like that.
So I always like to ask friends, you know, like when we're spending time together, like what makes you feel sexy and why is it your podcast?
Wait, what?
Me accusing you? Maybe I'll ask him as separate questions. Okay. Let me just.
When do I feel sexy?
Yeah, what makes you feel sexy?
Nothing. I'm
Okay.
deeply insecure.
Okay, so we'll just ask you about your podcast.
I know. When do I feel sexy? Honestly, I think it's kind of a gender conversation.
Okay. Should we?
I mean, yeah, a little
let's get
bit.
into it.
I used to. I don't know when. I don't know fully when I think I think during sex, I feel sexy. I'm great at dates. I'm really great at dates, and I feel sexy then because I feel secure. I enter them as authentically as possible, and I think that's what it is. Authenticity makes me feel sexy, and I think in terms of like the gender stuff, I'm fat. Hello, welcome to stating the obvious. I used to hyper feminize myself in order to feel sexy, and I no longer like it, but it didn't make me feel good. It was like I had to look a certain way in order to feel desirable, not only to other people but to like myself. But now, like, I don't know, like having braids made me feel sexy. No makeup makes me feel sexy. Sometimes my little stash comes in and I feel sexy. Hoodies and like jeans. I don't know. Grills. Oh my God, grills. Gold.
Yes.
It's also just like, I don't know. I just feel culturally, it like makes me feel sexy. Yeah, I think when I'm living most authentically for myself and no longer like trying to exist within a binary or and not to say that like makeup and certain outfits are femme. I think that those terms are kind of arbitrary when we're thinking outside the binary, especially as like a non-binary person, but that like is the language that we have. But I think just in like my most natural state, when I feel the most safe, the most comfortable, the most able to be vulnerable is when I feel the best.
Oh,
was that an intense answer?
no, that was a great answer. Like, I relate to so much of that. Like, especially with coming from when I was kind of performing femininity.
Yeah.
that's what it felt like. It felt like I was performing. So once I started to get out of that for myself and start to dress the way I felt internally, I do feel sexier. So I agree with you on that.
I feel like once, as like, for me, as like an AFAB person, for one, I like identify as like a Black femme non-binary. So I think that Black womanhood is so different from non-Black womanhood, and that experience is just different all of it in itself. I think that Blackness is inherently queer as well. But like, once you start to like enter a space where you feel most authentically, like you are presenting most authentically and accepting yourself most authentically, that gender stuff starts to be like whatever. It's like, yeah, I could wear eyelashes and makeup and still not be considered as like high femme.
Yeah.
Right? Like, or as a woman. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel that.
You asked me something about my podcast. It was like in a weird way. That, what did you ask? I thought it was like, when do you feel most sexy and why'd you start the podcast? I'm like,
yeah, I was like, let me compile questions to you. But I was curious. You have a podcast.
I do. Yeah.
Is it a secret? Can I know something about it? Tell me.
I feel like everybody kind of knows about it. I got a big mouth. Well, I have the podcast actually because of you. You definitely made those connections for me. I really liked what you were doing. I did have a podcast before. We did it completely independent, and it was just really difficult to navigate. But I don't know. I started the podcast. It's called the Teardown. It's lingo and language for after you're done a tattoo, you tear down. So you set up and you tear down. And then I'm just tearing down these bitches. But I started to feel like my online presence, all of us have, if we're online, we have a presence, was getting conflated with like who I was. And I started to just feel like I needed to perform in certain ways, like what we were saying earlier, that I couldn't really be as authentic as I wanted to. I didn't feel like I can, after the Black Square moment where people were caring for a little bit, they stopped caring. So then I felt more silenced and felt like I needed to be more reserved, but then also I don't want to be. And there are people out there who are rad and dope and say dope things and do dope things that I feel like don't get platformed enough. So the podcast really came from me wanting to explore myself, talk about the things that matter to me, that are important, platform people that I think are amazing, who are not as visible as they should be. And this isn't like giving them a platform. They have a platform, but it's like, let's hear their voices instead. And in tattooing, it's so cis, het, and white and heteronormative. They don't talk about anything really interesting. And it's not contemporary. It's not of the now. It doesn't reflect this new age of tattooing. It's more progressive scene. And so I just was like, okay, people want to hear what I have to say. Equally, I'm informed, and a lot of what I say is informed by other dope people. They're just not all my thoughts, right? And so I feel like the podcast is a really cool way to like introduce these nuanced conversations, talk to great people, and like talk about the industry differently than how it's talked about before, not gatekeeping, certain answers. I think that a lot of people are interested in tattooing and want to know about it more intimately. Not just like, how did you get started tattooing type stuff, but like, what is it like to date? What is it like to, want to engage sexually with a client? Or what is it like to be fat? And these are some taboo conversations that I think will be interesting to explore. So I'm excited about it.
I'm excited too. And it comes out this month.
Yeah, it does.
That's super exciting.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Shoot, is that my... Oh.
What?
Guess who just messaged me?
Stop. Who?
The tattoo girl.
Wait. Does this mean? What does this mean?
I think this means she's trying to see me in the next 30 minutes, so I might have
No
to...
tattoo.
I guess I'm gonna have to leave the tattoo alone.
Okay.
I guess that's it. Wow. Well, it's gonna be a memory that I hope it goes well. We'll see.
I'm sure you will make sure it goes well.
Yeah.
And you will. Yeah.
Or else we'll just have a cute memory.
I love that. Have
Thanks.
fun.
Thanks so much for your time today. And yeah, I guess I'll hit you up when I have another terrible tattoo
X to
mistake.
cover up.
Yeah.
I'll still be here.
Yes.
Waiting.
Thank you so much.